Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So we just had maintenance and there was a bit of an update with a few changes. It also brings the new lockbox, the return of the Day of the Dungeon Master, and a unique mini battle pass with a new artifact set. So let's check out everything. First of all, the patch notes. The only real thing to note here is the ability to now view mount insignia bonuses when you go to inspect a mount. You can see it now has a third tab here and it has all of the available insignia bonuses listed for that particular mount. One thing missing still is the ability to see whether or not you get it as the preferred bonus, but I guess you can do a little bit of cross-checking. Here it has to have a barbed, so you can see that only the bonuses that have a barbed allow you to gain the extra 20% item level while using that preferred insignia. Additionally, it can still be somewhat useful to have one insignia bonus and see a full list of all the different mounts that actually grant that. So I guess my document's still going to be somewhat useful. I do have to update it though with the new Regal Cobra from last Chinese New Year event, and it appears to still be bugged. You can slot 5 of them. But yeah, just in this patch notes was announced the new lockbox with a mount and an artifact and the new mini battle pass. And then upcoming events, we have the beginning of the Day of the Dungeon Master for 3 weeks, then April Fowls, April the 2nd, and then Festival of Rubies. So to do the Day of the Dungeon Master event, simply pick up the quest in Protector's Enclave here, interact with the table and go yes I'm in and enter. You end up in the Barodon Inn map. You will speak to Flabbergast, and for the first time you do this on a character, you have to do an activity, like I'll do this one right here. You complete it, you get teleported out, and you obtain your reward, and you head to the Trial of the Traps intern. And she directs you to the event, the Trial of the Traps. You simply just need to queue up to it, and you end up in the mini dungeon. You beat up this Drider, and then this Beholder, and then you're done. You go back to Flabbergast, hand in the quest, and that's your daily reward. Finished. You don't need to do any more, but you can speak to the evaluator of games, and he has a bunch of optional quests to give you a bunch more, say, rough Astral Diamonds, potentially more participation tokens, and I recommend it if you have a bunch of extra free time. Just get the minimum done, however, and after 14 days you'll get a token of achievement, and after that 1 token of challenge for each extra day. You spend all of those tokens at this guy at the tree in Protector's Enclave. Your participation tokens, great to get upgrade materials, challenge tokens, great to get insignias or overloads, and achievement tokens, you can save them up for what you want here or just get a co-mote. Keep in mind, as part of the Day of the Dungeon Master event, the Wondrous Bazaar has been updated to include the best in stock belt item, which is the Owlbear figurine. They still have this thing here, 1000 magnitude. So yeah, don't miss it if you don't already have it. Totally worth picking up. But then we jump to the new mini battle pass. Now you're going to have to do your event, which is like the Day of the Dungeon Master, and then your random queues. You're going to get the XP and you're going to progress along this bar, and the maximum is 4,000 still. So that's as little as 2 weeks and you're done. So we can claim already this girdle, which will then show us what the new set is. You will have to open this pack, and now it is bound to account, so I can move it between my characters, but it will be bound to character once I equip it. And this piece is ultimately 1 out of 3 of a set. And this set will give you Crimson Retaliation stacks whenever you take damage. And for each Crimson stack you have, you improve the effect of the artifact. You will gain a 4% shield, reduce the damage you take by 4%, and you have a maximum of 10 stacks. But it relies on casting the new artifact from here, which you need to obtain the premium pass to be able to obtain. 1,000 Zen, you should be able to get a 20% discount, and you will get all of these extra bonus rewards, and it's mainly just upgrade materials, including the neck piece then as well. That Crimson Calamity artifact, you can see, will deal a bunch of damage, give a bunch of shield, and have the added effect of reducing the target's damage by 10%. It is also a 15% stamina regen artifact. So overall, I would just say the artifact set can be somewhat useful for tanks and the artifact itself. Not very good for artifact calls, but again, somewhat useful for a tank who wants to improve their own survivability. So I personally would pass on it, and I'm honestly not going to get the premium pass. Just not worth it. But do be aware, the artifact's 2200 item level and 15% stamina regen, so it is best in slot for tanks as a secondary artifact regardless of its effects. But now let's jump to the new lockbox. So we have 250 of these, and let's obtain the new lion. We can check it out, its bonuses. We can already see which insignia bonuses is giving us via the new feature, and it's got necrotic roar and intimidating presence, with the new artifact being right here, which we need to obtain it before we can actually have a full look at it. So let's go get those opened nice and quickly. For the rest, the lockbox stays the same. Nothing unusual in terms of the drops of, say, trade bars and other loot that you would obtain. Just be aware of the guaranteed drops you obtain at certain milestones. Let's get 250 opened. Here we go. And we obtained the choice pack. And so this was ultimately our entire session. We got 2 of the new artifacts and that choice pack. So unlucky in terms of the mount not obtaining it. But let's select it from the selection chest. And there we go, we have all the rewards. That new artifact, if we open the box, we can see is right here. It does get added to collections, so you can see it there too. And it ultimately looks like a replacement of the wyvern knives or the Dragonbone blades. But we'll have to check the details on it later when I test it. But just having a quick look at the mount, let's get that equipped. We can mount up to show what it looks like. There you go, nothing fancy in terms of mount animation. It's just a regular lion. And yeah, that's the skin of it. I'm not such a huge fan, but I guess it's a matter of personal taste. And this is the spacebar animation, same as all lions. But what's really interesting is the combat power. This is now enemies take 16% more damage. So they've basically upped it from like the normal 15% to try and, I guess, make it best in slot, which will end up being the case if this is correct. Intimidating presence is just a split of power and max HP. And then again, in the stable, you're going to have all of these available insignia bonuses. And if we look at what bonuses can be used with the preferred, we have Cavalry's Haste, Cavalry's Warning, Magistrate's Patience. This Cavalry's Haste seems new, but it's actually an update from what used to be another Cavalry's Alarm. But it's actually a really good bonus. It's like Tactician's Precision, and it's going to depend on your rotation, but it's going to more definitely allow you to cast all your encounter powers twice in an artifact call. Let's just quickly check, does that work here? It does indeed, cutting the cooldown on my not so fast. So be aware of that bonus, and it can definitely be used in a lot of damage dealer builds for artifact calls. So let's quickly double check the combat power. Does that actually give 16%, or is it still coded as a 15%? Checking the lion in combat here, we can summon it. That's the animation, it's a unique one. And we can see it ultimately does increase our damage from 10,700 to 12,400, which is correct at a 16% improvement. We can compare against the Eclipse Lion, so we summon that there, that should just be a 15%, and we can indeed see our damage has gone down to 12,350, which is down to just 15%. So it's correct, and they effectively made the Lion best in slot to use as a support in groups. But now let's check out the new artifact. We have the Nightflame Censer. This one, I believe, is bugged. It displays it having a 90-second recharge time, rather than the standard 60. And it also appears like a basically copy and paste of the Dragonbone blades. It's gonna increase the damage the target takes by 12% and reduce its damage dealt by 12%. Again, we can do the same test here. We find our base damage, 10,790, and then we cast the artifact. It is still like a cone in front of you, and it increases our damage to 12,100, which is indeed about a 12% damage increase with that debuff. Be aware, it does have a whopping 2,200 item level, so technically best in slot just for that, along with some very good stats for a damage dealer, so I would use it as a secondary. A really big issue though is the artifact drops as account bound. Honestly, it doesn't make much sense because what happens if you drop multiple like I did? I can't make use of the second one. It's utterly wasted. So I will now test, does it stack with the wyvern knives? Again, we have our base damage and we can see it spiked up to 13,400. This means a total of 24% debuffs. So it does indeed stack. You can also see the effectiveness has gone to 83%. But yeah, that 90-second cooldown completely screws it over to use as primary. And we'll just quickly test one more time. And there we go, a few more hits at max. 83% effectiveness. It stacks. That's good news. It means it's not completely replacing older artifacts. But again, it's just not usable with a whopping 90-second cooldown. It should just have 60 like the rest. For now, I would just use it as secondary. And it's very good to obtain. It's just, you run the risk of it being limited to just account bound when you open that lockbox. For now, I would avoid opening the lockbox if you're just trying to sell stuff from it. Because this one, yeah, you can't sell, which is a big issue compared to other lockboxes where you can. But that should be everything for this video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thanks all for watching, and another massive thank you to all my channel members for their added support. We'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.